All right, good morning guys. Welcome to Maverick Overland Adventures. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a deep dive into my own personal experience ordering and purchasing a Ford Maverick. We're gonna talk about everything from the order process to the wait time to actually purchasing and picking the truck up from the dealership. But the part that you guys are gonna wanna hang out for is the part that comes after that, where we talk about the months and months of absolute headache fighting with Ford Motor Company for thousands of dollars that they owed us after we took the truck home. Additionally, we're also going to go over what I learned from this whole experience, and we're going to go over what I would do differently next time if I were to order this truck again, and what I recommend you guys do if you're planning on ordering a Maverick and you want to make the process as streamlined as possible. Let's just go ahead and start with the order process, guys. And I have to say, in terms of actually going in and ordering the truck, I had a great experience, and I flat out told them I want to order a Ford Maverick and I know exactly what I want. So really it was like say no more kind of situation. He sat me down, he put the order in. He didn't try to upsell me on anything. He didn't try to add any like extra gimmicks just to line his own pockets or any of that stuff. He literally listened to what I wanted, put the order into the computer, we shook hands, and went about our way. A couple things to note about the order. So this is a 22 XLT EcoBoost. It has the FX4 package, and it also has the 4K towing package. Now additionally, there are some manufacturer installed accessories and add-ons that I added to the truck. The most notable, of course, being the spray-in bed liner. Also added the full-size spare tire, and I also added the 400-watt power plug in the back of the console inside the cab. Additionally, I added a whole bunch of accessories that were to be shipped separate from the truck. I ordered the bed extender, the Yakima adjustable bed rack, and I also ordered the Yakima Skyrise HD rooftop tent. Fender flares, of course, the window shades, sunshade that goes in your windshield, and I also ordered the tailgate lettering. So when I ordered the truck, before I left the dealership, they flat out told me it's likely that the accessories are not going to come in at the same time the truck does. They usually take a little bit longer because they ship from two separate places. It's a completely separate department where the accessories come from. Totally fine, totally to be expected, not a big deal. So everything looked right. He printed out the order sheet that had all the accessories and add-ons listed. It had every single package that we did on the truck. Of course, it had the type of truck, being an XLT EcoBoost. We went over it, everything looked exactly right. We listed out a price, we both signed it, and that was it. Went on my way. They told me it'd probably be a few months. In terms of the order process, really straightforward, really smooth. Getting into the wait time. This is the part where you know, people are having widely different experiences. Some people are waiting a few months, some people are waiting a year and a half. Me personally, I waited about 8 to 9 months for my truck. So I'm right somewhere in the middle, not too extreme to either end. In terms of wait time, I don't have much to say. The only thing that I will say is obviously the build of your truck and different things that you add on can drastically affect your wait time. It's gotten a little bit better since I ordered mine. Things like the spray and bed liner could drastically prolong the time that you were waiting for your order. Additionally, if you were ordering hybrid trucks, the hybrids were taking significantly longer. And really the only other thing that I have to say about it that's really significant information for you guys to know is that, in my personal opinion, Ford's update system that updates people on you know, where their truck is at in the production process is not very good, and there's a lot of room for improvement there. The way that Ford updates its customers on where their vehicle is at in the production process is just through their website, and in my case it was definitely very, very laggy. And what I mean by that is mine still said scheduled for production when I got the call from the dealership 9 months after ordering it, saying that they were looking at my truck sitting on the lot. So definitely not a very good update system, and really the only other updates that you get are the occasional email that says like, hey, we had to push your build date back a week. But that's really all that we're hearing from Ford in terms of updates on where our vehicles are at in production. Now the other problem that I found with checking the website and actually you know, seeing where your vehicle is at in the production process, you have to put in your VIN number, which if your truck has not been scheduled for production yet, it doesn't have a VIN number yet. So for most of the 9 months that I was waiting, I didn't have a VIN number to put into the search system in the Ford website, so I couldn't even see where my truck was at in terms of like the priority level that it was. So now we get into the point where dealership calls me, hey, we're looking at your truck sitting in our lot right now, come on down and pick it up. We get to the dealership, truck sitting there, looks beautiful. A lot of people are reporting you know, damage in shipping, like paint chipping. We did not have any of those issues. They took really good care of our truck in the shipping process. They got it nice and detailed up at the dealership, and it looked really, really good when we got there. Now, additionally, a very, very important note that I want to make here is that the dealership that I went through did not add any markups to the truck. Tons and tons of people across the country are waiting for these things for months and months, and then they finally get there and the dealership tries to pull some sneaky crap where they put like a $5,000 markup on the truck. Dealership that I went through, really, really great, honest people. They didn't do any of that. There were no dealer markups. Now, another important note to make too is that they also told me while we were there getting ready to pick the truck up that the accessories had not yet arrived, which we were expecting. That's not a big deal. They said it'd probably be like a few weeks to a month, maybe a little bit more. I wasn't too concerned about that. So we went ahead, we paid for everything, including the accessories, and we took the truck home and started enjoying it. And this is the point of the story where we start having some problems, we start having some frustrations, and it starts going a little bit downhill from this point. So if you haven't figured it out yet, all of the problems that we had from this point on were revolving around the accessories for a couple different reasons. So the main reason that we had issues revolving around the accessories involves the way that the accessories were ordered. So the way that the accessories were ordered for my vehicle were they were tied in to the total price of the truck, meaning that the accessories were actually a package deal on the window sticker with the truck. Now, when we were ordering the truck, we did that on purpose. I did that because at the time it sounded like a great idea, because if we can have the accessories included in the total, total cost of the truck, that means that I don't have to pay for all the accessories right now. The accessories will be paid for over the total payment life of the truck, kind of tied up into that deal. So even though there's a little bit of interest on those accessories, which adds a significant amount, it worked more in my favor because I could make payments on them and not be out that money right now. So that's kind of why we did it that way. Now, the secondary cause for all of this that kind of really made the situation worse is not only were the accessories tied up into the total price of the truck on the window sticker, but almost all the accessories immediately were listed on back order as soon as we went ahead and paid and picked up the truck. So at the time, I didn't really think that was that big of a deal. Pretty much my entire adult life up until the past couple of years, I worked like backroom logistics, like shipping and receiving, doing like shipping paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super, super familiar with logistics and supply chains and the shipping process and all that. So with that being said, when it comes to things being on back order and having to wait for stuff, I try to be a good customer in a sense, because I understand how that process works. It's not the dealership's fault, and in a way it's not really Ford's fault either at this point, because those accessories they're not made by Ford. They're Ford licensed accessories made by Yakima and made by other companies. So we went ahead and paid for it. I figured it'd probably be like a month or two before we started seeing accessories, so not a huge deal. But those are the two main reasons, the tied into the window sticker thing and the back order, that we really started having problems that lasted for literally like 5 or 6 months. So fast forwarding a little bit, it's been probably like a month and a half at this point, somewhere in there. And I'm starting to wonder a little bit. So just casually, I go in for the very first time. Hey, do you guys know anything about these accessories that we've been waiting on? So they go and look, and they're like, yeah, they're still all on back order. That's really all that we know at this point. We can try to find out for you. So I was like, all right, cool. Find out, give me a phone call. Totally fine, not a big deal. Probably about 3 weeks to a month later, I go back in just for another checkup, see if we have any information. And this time we have some information, right? They let me know, hey, we have some of your accessories in the back. Give us a few minutes, we're gonna go get them. And lo and behold, they've got like 4 of the accessories that we ordered that have been kind of trickling in over time, right? The accessories that they had were the tailgate lettering, rooftop tent, and the window visor, and also the fender flares. I went ahead, loaded the accessories up, and decided to just, go ahead and bring them home. That way I could keep them for safekeeping. I couldn't do anything with the rooftop tent yet. Obviously, it's still not on the truck because the rack hadn't arrived. That was like the major thing that we were still waiting on. But at least I had some of the accessories at home. I know where they're at. During this visit, I also noticed, because we were going over the accessory sheet, that now something looked a little bit weird. So the bed extender that I had ordered was not on the order sheet, first of all, but there was a bike rack on the order sheet that was like a $550 Yakima bike rack that I did not order. I didn't want that. And I realized what had happened was when the order was put into the computer, the bike rack was put in the place of the bed extender. Again, honest mistake, it happens. The way, at least the way that I understand after talking to the dealership that these orders are put in, is when you sit down and you're working with the salesman putting the order in, that's not actually putting the order in. I think what happens is you go over it, you put the order in, and by that I mean you kind of catalog everything, get it all set up, you get it on the sheet, but then before that order is submitted, I think the order actually has to be given to like the sales manager or someone that actually puts the order into the system and sends it to Ford. So somewhere within that process, we sat down, we put the order in, everything on the sheet was exactly correct. We went over it, I still have the sheet, so everything was exactly correct. But in the process of taking that order and giving it to the person that actually puts the order into Ford, something got messed up. So the bike rack was substituted for the bed extender. By this point, I already decided I didn't really need the bed extender anyway, so I just asked, hey, can you guys just give me a refund for the bike rack, since I didn't even order that in the first place anyway? And they were like, yeah, sure, no problem, we'll give you a refund on that. We'll get it all figured out. So I went ahead and took the accessories. Didn't have the refund yet, that's an important thing to note, but I took the accessories that I did have and went ahead and headed home. Why didn't they issue the refund for the erroneous bike rack at this point immediately before I went home? It being about probably 2.5 months since we actually took delivery of the truck, the big accessory that had not come in yet was the Yakima height adjustable bed rack that we ordered for the truck. So at this point, I had been doing some research and I discovered a couple things. The first thing I discovered is that they charged way more than you could get a bed rack for elsewhere, which, my fault. I should have looked into that. But again, because I thought that it would be easier to kind of tie the price of the bed rack into the price of the truck and make payments on it over time, be a little bit easier on my wallet, I didn't look into that. I just ordered the one that Ford offered on their website. The other important thing that I discovered is that that particular bed rack was actually a lot taller than what I wanted and a lot taller than what was going to suit my need. So I decided I didn't want that rack anyway, and because this thing was still on back order with no definitive date of when it was even going to ship, let alone when we were going to receive it, while I was there at the dealership for that visit picking up those 4 accessories that had come in, I also asked if we could get a refund on that bed rack, and again they told me sure, we can do that. So what we ended up doing is they had said that the refund process is going to take a little while. There's some steps that they have to go through, so it's not going to be an instant thing, but they're going to look into it and give me a call when they get it figured out. So we ended up waiting to refund the bike rack at this point because we were just going to group the bike rack and the bed rack together, and they were just going to do one kind of like lump sum refund. So again, time ticks by, more time ticks by. We were busy working. We just had our son. So I kind of just not forgot about the situation, like it was always stored in the back of my mind, but it wasn't like at the top of my priority at this point because we were dealing with so much. So it had been probably like a month and a half again. We're like, 3.5 to 4 months into owning the truck, and we still don't have these accessories, and we still don't have a refund for the 2 accessories. So I'm starting to get a little bit nervous, a little bit frustrated. And so I go into the dealership again, right? It's like, they forgot about the situation basically. It was kind of the same thing as before, like, oh, we need to talk to Ford and figure out how we can issue this refund. But that's what they were supposed to be doing this entire time. So at this point, I'm a little bit frustrated, but I'm like, all right, cool. Do you know how long that's gonna take? And they're like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll call you within a week or 2. And I'm like, okay, great. Week or 2 goes by. I don't get a phone call. So I go back in there, and again, they're like, yeah, we still don't know. We got to get this figured out, but we don't have any answers for you right now. Give us a week, we'll call you back. Another week ticks by, as I'm sure you guys can guess. Again, no phone call. So at this point, I'm starting to get pretty frustrated. I'm still trying to be like, respectful when I go in there and not go in there and cause a scene, but I'm starting to get a little bit agitated because at this point, it's been like almost 5 months since we picked the truck up from the dealership. I go back into the dealership for like probably the 5th or 6th time at this point, and that's when I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? You owe me $2,000. I think it was like $2,009 or something that they owed me back. You know, we still don't have any answers. And it's important to note at this point of the story how this process actually works, because this is something that I learned through dealing with this entire situation myself. The way that this works is when these accessories are tied into the window sticker of the truck, the refund has to come from Ford, not from the dealership. So the dealership can't just issue a check. The dealership has to get in touch with Ford. And the way that I understand it, based off of what the dealership told me, is that Ford has to process the refund, approve the refund, and then they have to issue a check that goes into an account at the dealership. The dealership has some kind of like check printer there that Ford prints the check through, and once the money is in the dealership's account, the dealership can then process the refund and transfer the money from their account into the customer's account. At this point of the story, that's why they claimed that they hadn't gotten this figured out yet, because they had been talking to Ford. It got kind of lost in you know, the mix of everything that was going on. So that's the excuse that they gave me this time. So they're like, give us a week, just one more week, we're gonna get it figured out for you. So I end up giving them like probably like 2.5, 3 weeks at this point. I gave them a little bit of extra time. I was pretty frustrated, but I'm like, I wanna see if they pull through and actually get this figured out without me going in and bothering them. But again, nothing. So this final time I go in and they're like, wait, you haven't got your check in the mail yet? And I'm like, no. I haven't gotten anything. I haven't gotten any word. I haven't gotten any phone calls. They're like, finally, you know, the sales manager, after like acting kind of confused about this hasn't been taken care of yet, give me one more week to figure this out, and then I'm gonna give you a phone call. And I'm like, dude, I swear if I don't get the phone call this time. But I ended up giving him a week, and about 5 days later, I finally get a phone call from the sales manager of the dealership, and he's like, hey, we got it figured out. Ford is sending the money over. Within 2 or 3 days, you'll be able to come and pick up your check. And the dealership was able to finally print this check, and we were able to go and pick up the check for over $2,000. At this point, it has been almost 6 months since picking up the truck that Ford Motor Company has been holding $2,000 out of our pocket for accessories that we never received, and not processing the refund for that money as well. So that is the story of ordering and purchasing my Maverick. Again, I'm not trying to put too much blame on the dealership. In the end, they ended up figuring it out and getting me my money back, right? Probably the biggest thing that I learned during this process is do not order your accessories tied into the window sticker on your truck, because if you have an issue like the accessories not being available and being on back order for months and months and months, to the point where you get pissed off and you want a refund, being able to refund the money for the accessories that are tied into the window sticker is a huge pain in the ass for the dealerships and Ford to do, which means that you're probably going to be looking at extended wait times to get your money back, like I did. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned. And something else that I learned through this whole process is that the markup on accessories offered directly through Ford is significantly higher than what you'll pay for those accessories elsewhere. And what I mean by that is, if you go to Ford's accessories website and directly purchase the accessories, or if you order the accessories in the truck builder, when you go online and you make your build on Ford's website, you can add all of those accessories on there. Those accessories are going to be significantly more expensive than if you just went online to the manufacturer or other dealers and bought those accessories. The rooftop tent that I ordered, it's a lot more on Ford's website than it is if I just went to Yakima's website and ordered the tent. So that's probably the second biggest thing that I learned through this whole process. So what would I do differently if I were to order this truck again, and what do I recommend you guys do if you plan on ordering a Ford Maverick? Really, it's simple, guys. Don't order your accessories tied up into the build on your truck. Don't order them tied up into the window sticker, especially if you're gonna order accessories from Ford with your build. Order them separately from the window sticker. Make sure your dealer, your salesman at the dealership knows that you want those accessories to be paid for separately from the window sticker on your truck. And then something additional that we can kind of tack onto that same point is, once you order your truck and you order your accessories separately, don't pay for your accessories until they arrive, much like you know, you order your truck and you don't pay for it until the truck is actually physically there at the dealership. Order your accessories, but don't pay for them until they actually arrive. That's something that I wish I hadn't done, because that would have, you know, avoided this entire situation and would have made it a lot easier for them to just cancel the order. But unfortunately, because we went ahead and paid for them, because I didn't foresee this being an issue, it caused some serious issues. The second thing that I would do differently and that I would recommend to you guys is, honestly, don't purchase accessories through Ford. Things like, you know, bed racks, roof racks, bed extenders, bike racks, rooftop tents, all of that stuff, I do not recommend that you guys order on your build from Ford. Get your truck and then go online to the manufacturers like Yakima and order your accessories directly through them, or order through, you know, licensed dealers. But by ordering directly from Ford, included with your build, you're gonna pay a lot more for those accessories. And the final thing that I learned is, I wish I had been a lot more direct and a lot more on their butts to get the money back. A few months, maybe 3, maybe 4 months, I think is a pretty reasonable amount of time when stuff is on back order, because again, I get how that works. But I think 6 months, you know, being that nice to them and letting them hold that money for that long of a time, I definitely wish that I had pushed a little bit harder for them to hurry up and get this taken care of sooner than I did. So that's gonna be my recommendation to you guys. Those 3 major points, if you plan on purchasing a Maverick but you haven't done so yet because you're scared of all the horror stories that you've heard about these trucks, go in, place your order when the order banks open up. These are awesome trucks. I absolutely love mine. But if you do those things differently than I did, based off of what I've learned through this whole process, I think you guys will have a significantly better purchasing experience than I did, and that a lot of people out there have. Also, one more thing I just thought of, I don't know how things are working these days, since I've had my truck for a little while now, but like I had said earlier, things like the spray and bed liner and other various you know, manufacturer add-ons can prolong the time that you're going to be waiting. So maybe hop on some forums and just kind of look around at what the current thing is, what's taking long in the production process, and maybe leave that off the truck. Because I mean, spray and bed liners, you could have the dealership do that, but honestly, it's probably going to be cheaper just to, you know, pick up your truck and then take it to you know, a licensed dealer that does spray and liners or does the drop-in liners or whatever it is you want. And since the Mavericks have been around for a little bit of time now, more and more accessories are starting to become available. So you're not just limited to what accessories Ford is actually producing themselves and licensing through other companies, like I was when I first ordered the truck when these first came out. You've got a lot more options now, so don't limit yourself to the Ford accessories. Take the time, look around, and find stuff that's going to be cheaper, more affordable, and you're not going to have to wait months and months for, like I did. So updates, guys, before we close this video out. The extrusion overland bed rack is going to be here very, very soon. We're getting very close. Like I said, I've been waiting on this thing forever because of this entire fiasco trying to figure out the money from Ford. That money was tied up and I couldn't order a new bed rack, but once we got that money back, we put in the order, so the bed rack should be here soon. We're gonna get the rooftop tent on, we're gonna do all kind of crazy stuff to this truck, and then we're gonna start filming some pretty sick adventure camping content. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel already, definitely do so. That way you can, you know, stay up to date with the build, stay up to date with all the fun stuff that we're gonna be doing with the truck. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Go out there, order a Maverick if you haven't already, because these things are sick. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next one.